Welcome to Execunet TV. I'm Robin Greenspan, Editor-in-Chief of Execunet, and I'm here with Dave Opton, Execunet CEO and founder.
You know, it's interesting. I think it's about, let's take it out of the job search process for a minute, because I happen to believe that most of us are really a lot better networkers than we give ourselves credit for. It's just that when you put yourself in the position of looking for a job, all of a sudden the things that you might normally do in business, that most of us do, suddenly feels a lot different. It's very uncomfortable for most of us. So that's where the thing comes together and says, well, how do I do this? The answer is, I think, is to fall back on, well, how did you do it before? You didn't get to be successful in what you were doing for the last 15, 20, 25 years because you were a lousy networker. You got there because you do a lot of things very, very well. And most of that, I would suggest, is based on your genuine interest in what's going on either in your business segment or with other people or things in which you're interested. So the way that applies, I think, in job search is to just simply say, look, I'm going to come at this with an attitude of, I'm not worried about what I'm getting out of this. If I come at it with an attitude of what can I do to help other people? I'm willing to give, let me go do that. I mean, we've talked a lot over time about, you know, the currency of effective networking is really information. We all have access to it, and if we're willing to give it, the rest of it starts to take care of itself. I don't mean to oversimplify that, but if you step back and look at it that way and say, this is kind of how I'm going to go about this, the rest of it starts to fall into place after a while.
So it's kind of the emotional obstacle, you know, where you feel like if you're in need, it's harder to do it.
Very hard, and that's a normal way for any of us to feel. I mean, nobody likes to feel like they're going around with their hat in their hand and so forth and so on. But that's not what effective networking is all about. It's not about, we used to joke about this, it's not about going on a scavenger hunt for business cards, okay? It's really much more about trying to build relationships with people because you have a genuine interest in what they're doing or what they might be able to do for you in terms of sharing information. Once you go at it with an idea of sharing something, it becomes a totally different feeling. That's another thing that's just a natural way for people to feel. And by the way, from a career management point of view, particularly if you're looking to make a job change, it's a very easy trap to fall into. You talk to a lot of people when they start a search, and you say, well, what do you plan to do? Well, I'm going to work with recruiters. And all of a sudden, it seems like we've forgotten the fact that, by the way, recruiters work for clients. They don't work for candidates. So they're not about to pay a lot of attention to anybody unless it's someone they know personally, have been introduced to personally, or maybe if you win the lottery and your resume happens to come across their desk at a time when they're working on a specific assignment that there might be, you know, great. But a trap, as I say, that a lot of us fall into is spending an awful lot of disproportionate time trying to reach out to and, quote, network with recruiters when it's not a particularly productive thing to be doing.